So I think the vibe of the church started to really change when we started the prayer and care meetings on Wednesday night. It starts with a meal, and then we do some sort of spiritual development. It changes it from Wednesdays to Wednesdays. But I think we started reading a book called Autopsy of a Deceased Church, and it sounds so morbid, but I really think that it just sparked something in our parish, and which was what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to offer a time of reflection as we move into this different time of the church.
That's right. And I think too that with the natural anxiety that comes from the fact that we are in transition and without a priest for the moment, we needed extra time as a church family to come together around a table and share food and share fellowship and share our stories. I can't tell you the number of times just because it's a small group, more informal setting, that people feel more comfortable to share what's in their heart and in their lives that's going on. And I think that has been the thing that has changed our perception of one another in the church, that we are more able to speak freely and lay our burdens, whatever's happening in our life. We can talk about it as a small group, and we can say, hey, I'm here for you. And I've got some really incredible stories out of several of our folks that I've known them for years, and they've just never shared that. And there's just something about coming together around the table and talking.
This was a challenging move for me. We had been in Noonan for 20 years, and coming to Waycross was very difficult. And God and I have spent a great deal of time talking about what my purpose here is and unpacking boxes. I found this ministry card that my father had received, and it was just very important to him. After he passed away, I found it, and I thought, this is something that I need to share here in Grace, and maybe this is giving me purpose. When I came, I knew that I needed to come to church. So I came in for the worship. Shortly thereafter, we got word that my brother in the Philippines had passed away. We could not have a service for him because his body was not brought home. I struggled greatly with that. Rather than turning to the church, I buried myself in my house. But I had been to church here, and one of the ladies reached out to me in a Facebook message and said, "We miss you. I hope you're okay. No pressure. We just want you to know that we're thinking about you." That prompted a whole new thought for me. And really, that was about the time that this card came up as I was going through Daddy's things. He's been gone since 2013, but I still hold on to some of his memorabilia. And that card was there, and I had to believe that there was purpose in that card being there.
So we were just sitting around the table, separate tables even, having the discussion about what we could do, how we could reach out to the folks in our church who we, after COVID and then with the transition happening, that just weren't here, and we wanted them back.
So I was talking to some of the vestry members that were sitting at my table. What I didn't realize was at another table, they were also discussing pastoral care and what we could do. So when they brought it up, when Ken brought it up to the whole group, I said, "Hey, I found this stationery in a drawer." And it was a sketch that one of the church members had done, and nobody was using it. So I took it home and I printed the same message on it that we had used on the cards in Noonan at St. Paul's. And now we have a beautiful care card that we can send to parishioners and anybody on the prayer list.
And it just came together as an act of God, really, because we were all independently talking about it and then overheard one another's conversations, and the plan started to form.
My husband was 34 years old. We had been married for 7 years, and he contracted COVID and he died in 32 days. He was fine one day, and then 32 days later, he was dead. So during that time, it was very difficult. I had grown up in Grace Episcopal Church. I was here when I was 10 years old, And I kind of fell out of the church as a young adult, and I had not been attending regularly for years. But when my husband was sick, the members of Grace Episcopal Church reached out to me. This was during the time of COVID, so no one came to us, of course. It was just via card, Facebook, text message, what can we do for you? And they were so supportive that I felt like God was calling me back into the church. And that's what I did. We had my husband's funeral here, and I have tried not to miss a Sunday since then. That was so impactful to me that I wanted to be a part of the church in a way that I could reach out like that. So I joined the vestry, and we created something called the Church Care Team, where we reach out to members of the church with cards, calls, text messages, simple things. My biggest contribution is I have an app on my phone. It takes me probably 2 minutes. Put the address in, put a message in, and sign it with my finger. And I can send a card out to the communities, to anybody in the community, and in that 2 minutes to let them know that we're thinking of them and we are here and we know that they are struggling or that they need some support, and that's a good way that we can assist them.
So it was like all of these individuals who were thinking of things to do, the ideas melded together all at one time.
Well, and I think it was actually Canon Lash that come up. She had mentioned prayer and care whenever she met with the vestry, and I was like, that is what our Wednesday night is prayer and care, taking care of one another, and how can we support one another.
Yeah.